Hi there, my name is Sinead and I am the manager of the Lewisham Dementia Support Hub. I'm joined today by Milicent, who is a carer who up until recently was caring for two family members, but now is caring for her mother who has a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Milicent, you're very welcome and thank you so much for being here to chat to us today. And the reason why Milicent is taking part in this interview is that this week is Dementia Action Week, and this is a nationally recognised week in the calendar, and it's all to do with raising awareness of dementia. So Milicent, as I say, thank you for being here and for answering our questions. So one of the themes of this week is a little bit about the diagnosis process when it comes to dementia, and we know how important early diagnosis can be. Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences of the diagnosis process for your family?
Okay, so about 3-4 years ago, I suppose, we noticed that Mum was saying, Mum in particular, was repeating herself quite a bit. And she always could cover it by saying, oh, I just forgotten. But when she's repeating herself so many times, it's not just forgetting. And I think it came to the crux, I think after about a couple of years, where she drove to my daughter's house, parked the car outside and couldn't find her house. She couldn't find where she lived. And we watched her walk up and down. They watched her walk up and down trying to find where she lived. And eventually someone came out and rescued her. But she had a reason. She had an explanation as to why that was happening. And so various other things happened, and I contacted the doctor and requested her to be assessed. And we went to the memory clinic for a 2-hour assessment. Now, I have an issue with that assessment because the assessment is not culturally specific. And the questions that they're being asked are questions, even if you didn't have dementia, you'd have to really seriously think about them. And so I feel that that process needs to be reviewed because it's not appropriate. Some of the things that they're asking are clearly not very appropriate. And so I've fed that back. And she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. But she refused to take any medication. Okay. But after a while, various things happened and she was able to take that, and it slowed the process down somewhat. But that she's been diagnosed with that now for a couple of years, and various things have happened since then, but that's the process of the diagnosis.
Okay, thank you for that, Milicent. And I think you raised some really important points there. Firstly, around the appropriateness of the diagnostic assessment tools. And I know they are working hard to sort of review those, but it definitely towards being more culturally appropriate. It's something that has been fed back, and I think they are universally working on that as something that they know is really important. The second thing you mentioned is about medication. So obviously your mum having Alzheimer's, there are certain medications that clients can take in order to slow the process. And you say that you did see a little bit of a slowing when she began to take them.
Yes. But that medication isn't for everyone. Because if you, my other parent had vascular dementia, and because he has other issues, he wasn't able to take that medication at all. It's not for everyone. It's not appropriate for everyone.
Absolutely. And I think that's another thing of highlighting that actually the different types of dementia, there can be different treatment processes and also very different presentations as well, can't there? And Milicent, in terms of, we know obviously things have been so difficult over the pandemic for everyone, no matter what your circumstance, it's just been really tough on everyone, but particularly lots of services sort of closed or obviously stopped face-to-face. Can you tell me just a little bit about the experiences of sort of accessing services over the last few years?
It's been extremely difficult because you're asking about accessing, it's difficult to access anything because all the services are closed. You can't have any visitations. You can't visit anywhere, and everything is via the phone or Zoom or FaceTime or whatever. People with dementia find it difficult to access those services. And I remember having a Zoom session with, who was it? Oh, the pharmacist. And it was very difficult to try to explain to them and explain to my parent what is actually going on. Because we're wanting to access technology, but if some of us find it difficult, how are people with dementia able to access something that's so very new? It's something new for them.
Absolutely.
Younger people are born with all of that. Older people have to learn all of that. And that was very difficult to access any service, actually, any service at all, because we can't have a home visit because of all the safeguarding, all the PPE that needs to be worn, etc. And plus trying to explain to my parents what all this is about.
That's been really, really difficult, isn't it? Trying to, you know, we have many clients who don't necessarily understand the need to wear, you know, things like the masks and things like that, which is so understandable when there was never a need for it before. So that's been absolutely, absolutely. And in terms of, I suppose, one of the regular comments that we have from carers and family members and friends of people who have a diagnosis of dementia, but also the person themselves living with the diagnosis, we can sometimes talk about the isolation and the loneliness of living with this condition. And I suppose last week was Mental Health Awareness Week, and the actual theme was around loneliness and experiences of isolation. Do you have any sort of top tips for carers to sort of combat that sense or that feeling of loneliness, or just top tips generally for carers?
The thing about loneliness is it doesn't necessarily mean you're alone, because I don't live with my parents, but I still feel alone, and I still feel isolated because I have the full responsibility for them. And therefore, I feel that I used to feel I had to do everything. I had to be there. I had the responsibility for absolutely everything. And on top of that, I have my own feeling. So who do I talk to? And although I have people that support me, I don't necessarily want to talk to them because I feel that I'm going to burden them. And so I felt, because I've processed it all now, I felt that I was just shut in. I was shut in with a situation that I wasn't getting any help for. I didn't know how to access the help. I didn't know, because this is something very new to me. I didn't know who to turn to, who to ask. And even then, how do I then say, this is how I'm actually feeling? This is what's going on inside. This is the impact it has on me. How do I then, and it takes a lot of courage to open up and say, this is actually how I'm feeling. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling burdened. I feel the weight of the responsibility. Who do I call?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's lonely. It's very lonely. You may be surrounded with people or by people, and I am surrounded by people, but it's still very lonely and isolating.
Absolutely. And you say some of that sort of, you said some of that in the past tense and said that, you know, you've sort of processed some of that. Have you found in that case anything helpful that might be useful for other carers to know?
The big overwhelming feeling was a feeling of guilt. I felt guilty that I wasn't there 24/7. I felt guilty that I wasn't there meeting this need, that need, or the other need. And I had to step back from that and recognize that if I didn't take care of myself, I wouldn't be able to help my parents. And although I recognized that's how I was feeling and that's what I needed to do, I had to process that. And especially as I don't live there. And I had to also process the fact that my parents would say things 10, 12 times. And I felt resentful that I was continually having to be repeating myself over and over. And then I have to step back and recognize they don't know that they're saying this over and over. When they say it, it's the first time. And I have to get myself to a place where whenever I respond as if I'm responding for the first time. So I had to process the resentment. But guilt was the biggest one. Guilty that I couldn't do more. I wasn't doing enough. I could do more. I could do better. But also within that, to recognize that I needed to step back and take care of me first. And that's a priority, taking care of me first. Because if I don't take care of me, I can't take care of them. If I become ill, I can't take care of them. And the analogy that people gave is that if you're in an airplane and the airplane is going down, but I'm kind of changing that. I'm saying, if you're in an airplane with your parent and the plane is going down and the oxygen mask comes down, you can't put the oxygen mask on your parent first because you won't be able to help them. You have to put your mask on first, then put it on them. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to help them. And so I put me first as a priority because that's what I need to do to be able to care for them.
Absolutely, Milicent. And we just spoke about how you're going swimming after this. So
I am.
just, something like, as you said, exercising, getting out, spending time just for yourself.
So I do lots of things.
Yeah.
I do lots of things now. So I walk every day and I make myself go for a walk every day. I go swimming, I play squash, I plan meticulously to go away for a weekend. And not the first time I went, I used to check back to see how things are going on. But now I will plan for a weekend and I will go away and I'll enjoy my weekend and not feel guilty and reminding myself that I have to take care of me first. Otherwise, I won't be able to take care of them. So I do things for me.
I think that's such a, we unfortunately often see family members who talk about the guilt that you talk about. It's unfortunately, I think, the most common negative feeling that family carers and carers tend to have. But as you say, I love your analogy, you have to look after yourself first, because otherwise, you'll burn out, you won't be able to care. And actually also, it will seep into, as you say, your own life, your own work, whatever that might look like.
And the resentment is going to seep in. And as I said, I was feeling resentful because I felt that caring for my parents was taking over my entire life. And it was. Nothing to do with them. It had to do with what I was doing. And so I worked out what I needed to do for me. And then I'm able to take care of them without the resentment.
Absolutely. And as you say, doing lots of stuff that is good for yourself as well, good for your well-being, mental health, which is
without feeling guilty.
Yes, which is key. And then finally, Milicent, just thinking, this whole thing is around awareness of dementia. And I think we are, as a society, becoming more aware, but there's still a ton of work, I think, to be done. And is there any one thing that you wish the general public would know about dementia? What would you like them, just one thing, to know about dementia?
People who have dementia, it's as if you slowly watch people go. But what doesn't go are the feelings. The feelings don't go. How that person felt about the situation doesn't go. And so what I would suggest is that people focus on reminiscing about things that have happened, because your parent or whoever you're caring for will remember those feelings. So we're losing the essence of who those our family members are, but they're still there. The feelings are still there. And I try very hard to hold on to those feelings and to remind my parents about things that will bring back those feelings. Because it can be difficult sometimes just to see that personality go, but the personality doesn't really go, to be honest. It doesn't go. It comes out even more. And I know you said one thing, but there's a company that made a film of their lives, called My Life Films. I think it's called My Life Films. And to be able to show them that, and it does bring back trigger a lot of memories for them as well. That's a marvelous thing, really marvelous to have that.
No, it's an amazing service, and we tell all our families and individuals who come through our doors about that, because it can be such a wonderful resource to have, as you say, and sort of trigger memories, experiences, and reminiscence. Well, Milicent, that's all my questions. Any last thing you want to say?
Make the most of now. That's what I do. I try, even though my parents are losing their current memory, they still have their past memories, and I make the most of those. I find moments to laugh and to dance. I've got them an Alexa, and I bring up their favorite songs or music, and we dance about that, just to make the most of now.
Right.
Because we could focus a lot on what we're losing, but we still have some things now to make the most of it.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that, as you say, the person is still there.
Yeah.
And their personalities will come out if we
even more
can support that. So absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking part in this awareness video for Dementia Action Week.
Well, thank you for asking me.
No, it's been so lovely having you. And we look forward to hearing more from you soon. Thanks, Milicent. Take care.
Thank you.